When you think about retirement fears, what comes to mind? Now, most people will say running out of money or a market crash wiping out all my savings or maybe paying too much in tax. And all those are real concerns. But here's the thing. None of them are the actual number one fear that I see Canadians getting ready to retire. The fear that keeps people up at night is the one that rarely we talk about out loud. It's not about money. It's about something much deeper. And today I want to bring it out into the open because once you see it and once you understand it, you can actually prepare for it. So let's talk about the number one fear retirees don't talk about and what you can do about it. Let's start with the obvious ones. Running out of money, watching the markets crash, seeing inflation eat away at your purchasing power, or even realizing that taxes are higher than you expected. Now, these are all fears people usually bring up to me, and don't get me wrong, they matter. But if you've built your entire life savings in an RRSP, of course the thought of drawing it down is stressful. Now, if you lived through 2008 or even 2020, you know how fast markets can fall. And if you're looking at grocery prices right now, it's easy to see why inflation is also a big worry. But here's the thing. All of these fears can be measured. They can be planned for. They can be solved with math, strategy, and a good financial plan. Now, the fear that really shakes people, though, isn't the one that we can just plug into a spreadsheet. So let's talk about the hidden fear. Now, the number one fear that I see in retirement is losing purpose, losing identity. Now, think about it. For decades, your work has been more than just a paycheck. It gave you structure. It gave you goals. It gave you relationships. Then one day it all stops and you're left with an empty calendar. Now, I've sat with people who tell me, Adam, I thought I'd love retirement, but after a few months, I felt lost. I didn't know who I was anymore. They didn't miss the job itself. They missed that sense of meaning that really came along with it. Now, this is the fear many people don't talk about because it feels embarrassing to say, I'm afraid. I don't know who I am without my work. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you've ever had that thought, you're not alone. It's one of the most common struggles that I see. So why does this fear matter so much? Because we're wired for purpose. Humans need to feel useful. We need to feel like we're contributing to something bigger than ourselves. When you lose that sense of purpose, it doesn't matter how much money that you have. Life feels flat. Days blend together and anxiety is going to start creeping in. And here's the kicker. Even people who were excited about retirement can run into this. They think, finally, I can play golf, I can relax. And for a while, that feels amazing. But then one day they wake up and they ask, is this it? Is this what the rest of my life looks like? That's when the hidden fear hits. Not the fear of running out of money, the fear of running out of meaning. So how do we deal with this? How do you protect from the hidden fear of losing purpose? Well, the first step is to recognize it. Don't brush it off or pretend that it's not going to happen to you. Then we need to start thinking about what gives your life meaning outside of work. Now, for some people, it's relationships, spending time with family, grandkids, friends. For others, it's community, volunteering, mentoring, joining groups, some kind of purpose in hobbies, art, gardening, travel, fitness, whatever it is. The key is to build structure. Retirement without structure feels like drifting. Retirement with structure feels like freedom. Now, I've seen retirees thrive by creating routines. Maybe it's going for a morning walk, volunteering once a week, joining a book club, or learning something completely new. Purpose doesn't have to look like a big mission statement. It just has to give you a reason to get up in the morning with energy. Now, let's tie this back to money because the two are connected. Money is the enabler. It gives you the freedom to retire, the flexibility to explore, the ability to say yes. But money on its own doesn't create happiness. If you don't have the mindset, if you don't have purpose, even the most secure retirement plan is going to feel empty. Now, on the other hand, if you have both financial security and a clear sense of meaning, retirement becomes incredibly powerful. That's when people light up. That's when they say, I can't believe I ever worried about this. And I love retirement. And that's the goal. Not just to have enough money, but to feel fulfilled, engaged, and at peace. So the number one fear retirees don't talk about isn't running out of money. It's running out of purpose. Now, if you've ever had that thought, know that you're not alone and it's completely normal. And the good news, you can prepare for it by thinking about purpose, by building structure, by leaning into relationships, health, and growth. You can create a retirement that feels rich in every single way. Now, if you need help, feel free to visit us at stonecitywealth.com. I'm Adam. We'll see you in the next video.